The other day, I was scrolling through Netflix when I came across a movie that really intrigued me. A Sacrifice. A Sacrifice stars Eric Bana and Sadie Sink as a father and daughter living in Germany who manage to stumble into a cult. The story isn't perfect by any means, but it's good enough to keep your attention. In this movie review, we'll go over the good and the bad of A Sacrifice. A Sacrifice revolves around a teacher, Ben, played by Eric Bana, and his daughter, Mazzy, played by Sadie Sink. They're living in Germany temporarily, and in the area, a cult resides, one with a dangerous, persuasive leader. The leader's trying to recruit Ben to the cult, as she thinks, since he's an accomplished author and expert on cults, he would bring credibility to their group. As a result, a young, attractive cult member named Nina tries to get close to Eric, while another member tries and recruits his daughter Mazzy. To begin with some positives, the first thing I want to point out is that the subject matter, cults, I think is interesting and definitely not done enough by Hollywood. There's just something, in my opinion, it's really intriguing and also just horrifying too, how people can become just absolutely brainwashed and a cult leader often can become godlike. Now, one TV show I want to quickly point out that is good in the realm of the cult is a TV show called The Following. It revolves around a cop played by Kevin Bacon and his efforts to stop this dangerous cult. I believe it came out in 2010 or sometime around that area, but if you haven't seen that TV show, definitely check it out. I think it's got about 2 or 3 seasons. Now, coming back to the movie, the cult leader, whose name is Hilma, in this film was also really good. She was just downright creepy at times, and the movie did a good job showing how she managed to bring in these emotionally damaged people, essentially separate them from their social connections and persuade them that the group was their new family and also their only path. Now, I thought the two characters, Martin and Nina, were excellent in this film. Nina is a brilliant, attractive woman with a steady job who's tasked with getting close to Ben and recruiting him in. We don't know she's connected to the cult early on, although there's several hints and kind of warning signs, so it wasn't absolutely shocking when you find out that she definitely was associated with this group. Now, Martin is a young, good-looking kid, and he's tasked with recruiting Mazzy into the cult so they can lure Ben ultimately. Martin, like Nina, though, is deeply emotionally fragile on the inside and weak, and that Martin puts on a positive persona, kind of like Nina, but they're both characters are emotionally damaged. They both lost their parents, and that just makes them an easy target for Hilma. Now, moving on to a few of the negatives in this movie, the first thing I didn't like was the horrible decisions by Mazzy. One thing I didn't follow as to why the cult went after Mazzy so hard after she was drugged or roofied at the club. They basically kidnap her, try and bring her in right then and there when it's, too soon. Why didn't they just nurse her back to health at that point? It's like they almost force her to go in when she's, just been drugged. Once she got better, she would have been more appreciative, I thought, and more willing to join than I think just trying to force her in. Now, Hilma seems, of course, dead set on getting her to pledge her allegiance right then and there. Now, one thing as well that I didn't think made sense was why Hilma killed everyone at the end. This didn't really make a ton of sense to me. Nina especially, she works in the police department, so that's someone that you would want to keep alive. That's definitely a good asset to have. Now, one thing I would have loved to seen at the end is I wish Nina would have killed Hilma. It would have been really cool even if she had just doused herself in the gasoline, tackled Hilma, held her down, and then just lit both of them on fire. Of course, I would settle for her just maybe pulling out her gun and just shooting Hilma at the end, since Nina essentially was, as a young girl, she was taken into this cult. Both her parents killed themselves for Hilma. I think that would have been a pretty cool ending, but the writers decided to go a different direction, kind of give that really creepy, spooky feel by showing Hilma just walking away. And in the final scene, we see one of the young girls, I can't remember her name, watching Hilma speak, and it kind of warrants or says there that Hilma, that this young girl is probably going to get persuaded into joining the cult. Overall, though, I thought the movie was good. It's definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen.